Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Yeah, sometimes it's not comfortable to do this one thing, but it can really free you up in terms of your mindset, your time. We're going to talk about it. For me, it comes under the umbrella of self-care, and that is boundaries, putting up those boundaries when it's okay to say no. And we're going to talk about a lot of other really impactful things today. She is the founder and CEO of Perpetual Butterfly. She's an amazing life coach, helping people all the time with stuff that we're talking about today. Ashley Bass Mitchell is back with us. Welcome. How are you?
I'm doing well. So happy to be here again.
Yeah, it's good to have you back and back doing video as well. And this whole boundary thing, I'm a work in progress when it comes to that. There are some people that can get over my boundaries. There are others where I just put them up. I have no problem there. Why is it so important to have boundaries?
Oh man, boundaries do a variety of things for us. It depends on like who we're connected to how well we are, how firm we are on our boundaries. But boundaries help us to define our space. Boundaries help us to keep us safe. Boundaries help us to make sure that we are just not going overextending ourselves and making it a protective factor for us, but it's also a protective factor for other people. If that's something that I can't take on, or that's something that I can't hear right now, or whatever that space it is, if I don't set that boundary and you come to me and you have something going on that's really important to you and I'm not in the right space, how I respond to you could impact how you feel about whatever that situation is. It can impact how you go and move forward. It can impact whether or not you come back to me to have that conversation because I didn't say, hey, I'm not in a good space right now to be able to have this conversation. Of course, I do life coaching professionally with my company. So that's very different than me having a friend to come to me and talk and say, hey, I got this, and this going on. And sometimes, we get to that friend and we want them to be our safe space and we just kind of dump all of our thoughts, all of our activities, all of the things that we have going on. And we never take the time to just kind of say, hey, is it okay for me to do this? Are you in a good space to be able to do that? And sometimes we may hear no, and they're setting that boundary to be able to say, hey, I'm not here, but maybe let's reconvene in an hour. And I would love to hear all about it. I'd be in a better space then.
Yeah, the word no, I've learned that no is a complete sentence sometimes. It's
Yes.
okay. Just say, Ashley, no, I'm sorry, I can't.
Yeah.
That's it. You don't have to give an excuse, deliver it with the right inflection, maybe with a smile, and that's it. It's also, I think there's an art to saying no. Somebody even wrote a book about that.
Absolutely. Because a lot of times when we're explaining no, we're explaining it for ourselves. We feel so bad, or we feel guilty, or we feel like we should do it, or we want to people please. Whatever our situation is, we don't necessarily want to say just no and be strong and comfortable in that. We want to say no or but I can do this type situation. And it comes, and then we put ourselves in the position of, I didn't want to do that, or I can't do that, but I'm trying to figure it out so that I can make and satisfy that other person. But then we're discounting ourselves and we're not honoring ourselves because we didn't want to do it in the first place, or we weren't able to, whatever the reason may be.
I'm glad you said that. And I want to get to the reasons in a moment, but I just had a thought as you said that in that when you ask somebody, hey, Ashley, can you help me move some furniture tomorrow? And I say no. More times than not, the other person is already thinking about who else they're going to ask while you're giving the excuse, because I can't, I have to do this on that day, and I'm really sorry, blah, 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 blah. The other person already checked out. All right, let's see. Can Gary do it? I think they're already thinking of somebody else. So I don't even think you need the excuse. But why do we not respect our boundaries? Is it because we lack confidence and we want to just be a people pleaser and show value in ourselves and be liked and be wanted? Is that a lot of it?
It's a number of reasons. Sometimes we want the security. We're social creatures. Humans are social creatures. So like if we say no, does that mean they don't like me anymore? Does that mean they're not going to be my friend? What does this no mean? What kind of follow-up is going to happen as a result to me not saying no,
Yeah.
saying yes to that person? And oftentimes we don't even think about what does me saying yes to that person and not saying the no that I want to say,
Hmm.
does that discount us? How do we take away from ourselves because we're working and aiming so hard to be pleasers of others? We put ourselves in
That's true.
such awkward positions.
It's totally true. And then you also think, maybe not completely consciously, but well, if I say no, what about next time and I ask them if they'll help me out? Then and it may not even be a help out. Maybe it's just like I just need somebody to go to dinner with me or something like that. And now you don't have them as an ally. I guess when you think about it, if that's the case, you don't need them. They're not true.
We're wired that way. We're wired to see outcomes, horrible outcomes.
Mm,
We remember the negative things that happen, and we remember that we have that if then situation. If I say no to this, then this is going to happen.
for
If I
sure.
do this, then that's going to happen. So we're constantly kind of battling ourselves because we want people to like us. We don't No one wants to really be isolated. We do, even if you're an introvert, you kind of want to be able to still peek out and see what's happening in the world and
Hmm.
be able to kind of notice and know what's going on. But no one wants to be kind of completely isolated or completely to themselves. So it's very hard to say that no. And if you're a person that is just kind of a social butterfly or an empath or whatever it is, or you may have had just a traumatic experience saying no to someone else, it's really
Mm.
hard to have the power to embrace your power of saying no, I can't do that. Even if you don't just say no, period, say no, I can't do that without the explanation. And it's not necessarily an excuse, but it takes it that no was firm, that no was hard, and that no meant something to you, even if it didn't mean anything and that person had moved on.
Yeah, I think it comes down to also making sure the person realizes that you want to help them out, but you can't for whatever the reason may be, and they need to respect that reason. You might just need to go to sleep. You just got tired. I just can't. I want to, but I need to catch up on sleep or whatever it is. Um, I also want to talk today. Before we got on here, you said, I think it was the power of A&D.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, let's go there.
So when we're talking about the power of and, oftentimes our mind is like, or we can do this, or we can do that. I can be afraid, or I can be brave. Sometimes you can be both afraid and brave. Sometimes you can say, I want to do this, I want that ice cream, and I want this cracker, whatever it may be. You don't always have to choose. You don't always have to decide, do I want to be an entrepreneur and a professional? I want to be a dancer and I want to be a scientist. I want to do all these different things. And we oftentimes feel as if we have to choose in so many different things. I have to be this, I have to believe this and I have to believe that. But in the end, sometimes we just
Hmm.
can do both and we can balance our lives to be able to incorporate who we are, how we operate, and how we want to move forward with the things that we want to do.
Can you give me an example of how that looked for you with the end, this and that, for you personally, maybe in the last week too, whatever.
Absolutely. So, as I'm going and, going throughout my journey, I knew that I wanted to be able to be an entrepreneur, but I also wanted to be a good mom. I wanted to do
Hmm.
the different, I wanted to be a good sister. I wanted to be a good daughter. I want to do all these different things. I can be both an entrepreneur and pursue my dreams. And that does not take away from me still being a good mom. I can do both. I can have this dream. I can go hard for what I'm doing. I can believe what I want to believe as far as how to make this business successful. And I can be there for the football games. I can be there for the dance meets. I can be there for the track meets. I can be there for the school lunches. I can do all of these different things. I don't have to choose to be a
Sure.
mother or a professional.
Yeah. And you use the choice word, which is so impactful. You have a choice. So if that's what you want, you need to make the choices to make that happen, right?
Put an action plan together. How can I achieve both goals? Which is one of the things that I help to do in my company, Perpetual Butterfly. We talk about you want to do all these different things. What are all the different balls that we're carrying?
Mm.
How are you including yourself in all of these different things? And if your life is not where you want it to be right now, what does it need to look like? What do you want it to look like? And what are some things that you can put in place? What's an action step that you can take today to help progress and move forward towards getting those goals that you're trying to accomplish?
So I'm glad we talked about this. When you said the
Mhm.
power of and, I have a another look at the word and here it is. And I'm digressing a little bit, but the word but. You replace the word but with the word and, because if you use the word but, it negates the first thing you said. So, for example, it's a nice day out, but I don't have time to enjoy it because I'm working. Well, you just ruined the first half of it. Substitute the word but for and.
In many cases, sometimes when you're using the word but, you're using it, whatever follows the but is an excuse. I can't do this, but I can't do this because whatever. Like for your example, when you were saying, I want to go outside, but I have so many things to do. Can you do any of those things outside? Can you take a 5-second break out there just to breathe the fresh air? If the going outside is what you need to do, there doesn't need to be a but. How do I incorporate it into what I'm doing or into my day? Even if it's not right now, everything doesn't have to be immediate. I want to go outside. I can go outside in an hour. I can go outside and I can get this accomplished that I can make sure that I'm doing.
I always feel there's a bit of a negative going in there with but. And where I learned that is from kids. When kids talk, they just say and I went to the store today and I got ice cream and it was a lot of fun and we had, saw a pony and why not just use the word and instead of but? It's just kind of reframes it, but that's my my take on that. What else should we talk about today? A lot of this comes under the self-care umbrella.
And just following up on your statement before we transition, the and gives power to that want. It gives power to that need. So when you're wanting to be able to do those things, I want to do this and I want to do that and I want to do those things like a kid, like they're so excited to do those different things. They want to do all of it. There's no thought of, I can't do this because of whatever. They're like, I want to do that. Let's go. Let's go right now. Let's go do. And as adults, we're kind of like, oh, how can I do everything? You're thinking about so many different things. I know my 5-year-old and my 7-year-old, they want to do everything. Let's go skateboarding and then let's go ride the scooter and then let's go run around the park and let's go do it. And they want to go. And I'm just like, Mom's tired. Like, can we just do one of those different things? Or what do you want to do? And they're like, well, you can sit here in this space and they'll action plan for you. You ever listen to kids? They will action plan and you can sit here. I'm gonna ride the skateboard back and forth. Then I'm going to get my scooter and then I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do that. And they just incorporate it all in there.
Oh, they're like master negotiators. My daughter's 15 and still does it. And she'll say, no, wait.
Yep.
No. I want to look at it this way. And what do we do as parents? We typically will say, well, I'd love to do that with you today, but I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of takes away from typically we hear the last thing that was said. So you don't hear the first, I'd love to do that. And you really mean it. But what are you saying? But I'm really tired. Really, mom or dad, really tired. They don't want to play, whatever. So yeah, sub, but, and I just remembered it's kind of a phrase, a cliche, but no buts about it. So yeah, no buts about it.
Yep.
Anymore.
Absolutely. And just taking a moment to pause, which transitions me into the next thought. Pause is an acronym that I use often. And what it means is the P, place your reaction on hold and just breathe. A, acknowledge the situation that you're feeling. You understand that your response is a choice. You don't have to respond to everything immediately. Understand that there's a choice and take time to think about what you'd like to do. S, strategize on how or if your energy is needed in that situation. It may not even be needed. Sometimes we take things, we feel like we have to just put so much energy into it, and you just kind of don't need to, especially if it's kind of a confrontational situation and that's going on. That person believes what they believe, you believe what you believe, and y'all can just agree to disagree. Sometimes you don't need to put your energy into it. And E, execute your recentered approach to that situation, whatever the situation is. After you've thought about it, after you've paused, then decide how you want to move forward and what the next steps need to look like.
The power of the pause is really important.
Absolutely.
It really is. Even in conversation, I read recently that if you want to make an impact on the other person after they make a statement, don't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
Wait. And in your mind, it's like eternity just went by before I respond. But if they say something, they end their statement and you wait. That's a really interesting point. It
Yeah.
changes everything.
It does. It does because you don't have to participate. And even if you are going to participate, speaks loudly.
Yes.
Silence speaks loudly. So when we're doing it, if you've said no, and that person is, well, you can do it, and they're coming up with all these different solutions, you gave your answer. Everything else they're doing is extra things that they need to do. If you said no, stand on that. And there's really nothing else that needs to be said. And and getting comfortable and being confident enough to do that, it takes time, it takes energy, and there's no judgment in all of the explanation that may come along with it. But when you get to a space where you're just comfortable with, no, I'm not able to do that, or just no, it makes a big, huge difference. And it creates a balance in your life to be able to know what you can and can't take on, what you're willing to take on, what you want to do, if you're willing to rearrange different things, and how the things that are important to you can be navigated throughout your life.
How do you get that? And I guess we're going back to the boundaries here for just a moment. How do you get that confidence to know when it's okay to say no or put up a boundary? You know, maybe a boundary is not a no. It comes in many different shapes and forms. But where do you find that confidence to realize that yeah, I need to put the boundary up?
It is a practice. It does not come,
Hmm.
sometimes it doesn't come naturally, especially given whatever personality type that you may have. Create the habits. That's why it's important for affirmations. A lot of times, we say positive affirmations to ourselves. I am enough. I am this. I am that. And those things are great. But the action step behind that is to keep talking about it. We put things in our mind. The power, what creating habits. There's the 2190 rule. And I took notes just for a second. And so it says it
Sure.
takes 21 days to make a habit and 90 days to make it a permanent lifestyle. So when you're doing stuff, you just have to keep practicing. You keep going. You want to change your eating habits, keep practice it. When you want to change that you get more comfortable saying no, practice it. When you want to be able to speak out or step outside of your comfort zone, practice it. Talk to yourself, compliment yourself, reward yourself, and say, hey, I did that today. I am so proud of myself. Even if someone else doesn't compliment you, it's up to you to be your biggest advocate and your biggest cheerleader.
Yeah, good stuff.
And when we talk about facing your fears and doing things, even if you say no and that person says something and you're kind of like, okay, you still failed forward. You can still say that you said no to that. And even if you kind of gave into it, the
Hmm.
next time you knew what that felt like when you kind of gave in after you took the courage to even say no, then you now know the next time I'm going to say no and I'm not going to give in that time. So you're practicing and you're going forward and you're changing your mind. When we talk about neuroplasticity, our brain has the power to heal and to help change the way our mindset is going. And so every time you're facing a fear or you do something outside of your normal everyday life, your brain records it and it gives your brain evidence of, hey, this is possible. It doesn't have to be that way. It is okay. And it becomes more and more comfortable.
Thank you for giving the 2190 rule because many people think, yeah, and you hear it all the time, 90 days, 90 days, and they think it's a sales pitch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, gotta have a coach for 90 days or 21 days, can lead to a new habit of it is scientifically proven. You can Google it. You can run deep in looking into it, but don't bother because we've already done it for you. There's a reason that it takes that amount of time. It just that you need it. Otherwise, it just doesn't work or it doesn't stick. Great example, the New Year's resolution. What happens? People give up before 21 days. They haven't formed that habit
Mm-hmm.
and they're done in a week or two, whatever. And that's why it doesn't happen for them, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You got to keep going and pushing through, even when you want to stop.
Hmm. I don't know why this popped in my head, but if you were facing yourself younger, let's say you were 10, right? Let's say you were 12, 14. What would you tell yourself?
I would tell myself to pause. I would
Hmm.
tell myself that everything that you're doing is leading towards a greater good. Keep going, keep pushing, keep fighting, and remember that no matter what it looks like right now, as you continue to go down in your journey, you'll see that all of your efforts will turn into something amazing because you are amazing.
Love it. I love the fact that you even said pause because as I'm hearing you, I'm thinking back to myself as, my younger self. And if I just paused, things would be better. Like
Mhm.
even when, I got bullied. So, bullied as a large kid, instead of reacting to it, getting upset, sad, feeling lonely, pause.
Yeah.
It's almost like you take stock in yourself, take inventory on yourself. What do I got going on here? Yeah, that's good about me. That's good about me. But no, we just fall right into it and react into it. So the power of the pause is powerful.
Absolutely. And it's not just our younger self. We are changing and
Sure.
growing every day. And so to expand on what you're saying, as adults, we are so hard on ourselves. I should know better. I should do this. I should do that. We do not offer ourselves the space and grace to make mistakes, to live through life challenges, to understand that it is absolutely okay that this is where you are, and absolutely okay to take those next steps to get where you want to be
Mm.
and free of ourselves.
Yeah, 100%. And I've heard this before that we reevaluate our lives every 5 years. And then, depending on what you want to do, it takes about 2 years to take action. And that's why there's the 7 year itch in relationships. And I
Mhm.
think if a lot of us look back to relationships, whether good or bad, there was pinnacle moments at the 7 year mark. Do it. Think about it.
Yeah.
And nowadays, I just read something recently, the 5 year reevaluation, and it's to your point, like we're always evolving.
Yeah.
Uh, People are now doing in their minds a 12 year, like they're looking ahead to 12 years. What's life going to be like? What am I going to be doing instead of just, the 5 years? So, yeah, there's a lot of stock in that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Don't forget to live in the moment and be present now, but also see yourself down the line. My sister actually was one of the ones when I was kind of going through, and she would always say, see yourself. How do you see yourself down the line? Where do you see where you want to be? Like, don't look at this moment right now, because I was in the thick of it and I was, dealing with divorce and dealing with so many different things. Where do you see yourself going? What do you want? And so we would have those conversations, and it expands the thought, because you can get so caught up in tunnel vision and whatever you're experiencing right now. But it's hard, it's easy to forget that the future is coming, that you're able to get there, but you still have to take those steps to get there, and you can do it. You just got to keep affirming, keep believing, and changing that situation slowly but surely.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's great advice. And somebody said to me in my journey 3 years ago, my current journey, um, they asked, why do you not live in the moment? Because I didn't. It took me like a week to figure out what that meant, but I always look in the past, I look to the future. Now I try to live in the moment. There's nothing wrong with the future if you view it the right way. A lot of times we have anxiety about the future. You have to look at it in a positive way, but you just, pop something in my head when your sister said, where do you see yourself in 5 years, whatever, 10 years? They say we create our reality.
Yeah.
If you believe in manifestation, what you're thinking is what will be.
Yeah.
And you should be thinking of the future if there are some things that you want for yourself, because that's how it's going to come here.
Yeah. Because the thought is the seed.
Yes,
The way that the actions that you move, that was what helps that seed to grow.
exactly. Yeah. All right. At this moment, we're going to pause
Okay.
to process that. We're done. Okay. It was great talking with you. How does somebody connect with you? It's your company is Perpetual Butterfly, right?
Yes.
Which is exactly what we're talking about. What is a butterfly? Metamorphosis. It goes from one thing, changes into another thing. How do we find you?
You can go to perpetualbutterflyab.org and go to the website. All the information and services are available there. You can email me at abas@perpetualbutterflyab.org, or you can find me on social media at Perpetual Butterfly. And the phone number for the company is 919-808-4618.
Thank you for today. It was great talking with you.
It was great talking to you as well.
Yeah, looking forward to next time. And pause, people, and no buts. That's
That's
that's, that's part of the takeaway. But thanks again, Ashley.
See ya.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.